Hello, everyone. We are back for Rocket Lab Weekly, episode 119. I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Scott O, and of course, the White House quant, real Matt Money. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, doing good, man. Thanks for hosting this week.
Yeah, I still can't believe that really happened, that your stream was on the White House website.
Hey, man. I was just talking about it with Steve Fiorillo because I just got done streaming with him. And yeah, he was like, whatever really happened? Why didn't you end up on like CNBC or anything like that? I'm like, I did briefly, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's no big interview requests for...
No, but it's definitely the talk at work too. Like I'll have people like, is that like what happened? So I've had to explain it a million times over the past month. So yeah, it's been fun.
So what's new with you guys this week? Any trades? Anything new and exciting?
No, I mean, I've been looking at Redwire lately, especially this past week. I don't know how close do you guys follow that, but it just like absolutely took off. It had some private equity selling, like quite a bit over the past like 2 weeks, give or take, and that seems to have ceased. And since then, it's just kind of taking off. And yeah, I was kind of looking at it like maybe I should lighten the load a little bit. But the way I'm kind of looking at it right now is like Redwire could double from where it is currently, and it's still going to be among the least expensive space companies. So just, I don't know, maybe I'll do something if it continues to rally, but like it wouldn't surprise me if it went quite a bit higher from here still. So yeah, nothing new. What's Dave?
Sorry to interrupt. I just realized apparently a bunch of people have been waiting at Vince's original live stream URL. So I guess they didn't realize that we're on this one. So just hoping someone in chat can maybe like send a link to one of our 3 streams and let those guys know that one is not going to be happening. But yeah, as you mentioned, I actually bought some Redwire a couple weeks ago. Similar reasons to you, and I also just thought like the momentum was really there, the turnaround was on, and I was debating whether to buy the call options or the stock, and I just bought the stock this time around. Now I'm kind of wishing I bought the call options, obviously, but still done okay on that one.
Nice.
And yeah, full disclosure, I did trim a little bit of Rocket Lab shares when we were in the 90s because I just felt like it was prudent to have some dry powder, cash available if there's a crash, pullback, whatever, and just a bit of security. So like 3% of the position or something very small, but did just want to be open about that.
Congrats on the W.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you're sitting with like a 20x, I don't think it's ever you know, you're never like a complete idiot for taking a little bit off the table. So
nah, I don't, you know, taking a profit, especially depending on you have kids to worry about now, right? So I'm just playing Monopoly. I don't have that.
I definitely feel a little more like responsibility and stuff like that. So
yes, wrong hat. I do need to change my hat. But the different streams, so I need to change the hat. But for me, I was looking around and trying to think about new companies to invest in, and I stumbled upon a new company that we haven't really talked about on the channel, but I think it could play a proponent into the future of data centers and stuff in space, and that's a company called SkyWater Technologies, and they help produce radiation reflective or resistant semiconductors. So if we continue down this path of Golden Dome, we continue down this path of companies having to provide semiconductors in compute in space to be able to continue the Golden Dome contracts and Iron Dome, Golden Dome sort of contracts, coupled with actual data centers like what we're trying to do with NVIDIA and others, I think it could be an interesting play, and especially with onshoring back onto the United States with semiconductors. So I thought that was an interesting play as well. And the reason why I think it is unique and potentially has a moat around it, which could be positive or negative, is the company is pretty much 100% American owned compared to some of the other onshore smaller foundries. like Global Foundries is owned partly by the United Arab Emirates, which isn't a bad thing. And I think the UAE is a great partner in a lot of different areas across the globe and a great ally. But when you're coming to national security, like the Department of Defense and stuff like that, you probably don't want that sort of information being owned by other countries to make sure for national security reasons. So there's a piece associated with that. And then second, these guys specialize particularly in different, not just like silicon-based semiconductors. They focus more so on different sort of materials that most people like Taiwan Semi or Intel wouldn't put on their line because it's dirtier and potentially just would slow down their potential foundries. So these guys are specializing in smaller orders and stuff like that, where a Taiwan Semi or an Intel might be too big to worry about those sorts of things.
Cool. Yeah, I always love getting different ideas. I think it's one of our strengths is we can kind of like crowdsource and share ideas, and everyone can bring something to the table when we're researching companies. Okay, so I do tend to like just starting with the stock because everyone always likes to talk about it when I'm hosting. So how are you guys feeling about the setup here? We've got earnings call in probably about a month. We're a little bit off our all-time highs here. How are you feeling? We're pushing higher, or any thoughts on the current setup? Macro, anything like that?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Nothing would surprise me at this point. Like you could cut it in half or double it. I'd be like, all right, sure. Why not? Yeah, I don't know.
From a conventional space, it's definitely quote unquote expensive, but I think it always goes back to what is beyond Neutron, what does Neutron unlock? And, I think that there's a piece where as Falcon 9 likely retires, that Neutron in the 2030s will be potentially the monopoly owner in medium space launch. And, as you think about it, Starlink V3 can only launch on the Starship. It can't launch on the Falcon 9. So now that they're going to start to be moving to the V3, it's more dependent upon who needs Falcon 9 as commercial customers, not necessarily launching specifically for SpaceX. And we know that SpaceX, a lot of their launches are specifically focused on Starlink. So if Starlink goes to a different rocket, that then leaves kind of the Falcon 9 less useful than it once was. So there's that piece. And then second, I'm very curious what the MO is around Flatellite. I'm very happy and excited that we're now getting closer to this Neutron piece, which I think is inevitable at this point. And we'll talk about maybe about how inevitable, but it's definitely inevitable, hopefully within the next 12 months. Really hopefully in 27 timeframe, we hear more about Flatellite at some sort of investor day, or not even, maybe just like we're unveiling it, like the normal sort of commercials that Sir Peter Beck generally does. So excited for that next move.
Yeah. As a few people mentioned in chat, personally, I've been pretty impressed with how well the stock did hold up following that news of the test failure issue, or whatever you want to call it, and the press release around that. A lot of space stocks have been very green lately when you look at AST and Redwire, Planet, some others. So I'm sure that helps out as well. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think we have a lot of a rate cut still coming probably. But at some point, you have to think there'll be a significant pullback. So I do want to have a bit of dry powder ready for such a scenario. Okay. If you guys don't have any other thoughts on the current setup, or are you buying any more shares right now, or selling, holding, covered calls, anything like that?
Just holding myself.
Holding. Yeah.
Buying small amount, like $200 a month or something like that. So I think the majority of my buying is likely done, maybe just topping off. And if there's a large pullback, maybe I'll add it in size, but covered calls as well. And I've thought about doing costless collars to potentially protect the downside. Just in case there is a 20-30% drop or something like that, you might be able to use that put volume, that or put increase, and then put it back into the stock maybe. So
yeah, I mean, as one of the viewers is saying, like when it drops, it can really drop here. So do keep that in mind. Okay. So with that out of the way, we're going to start with I guess I have to change this. I'm not used to hosting. Sorry. Let's share this way. I'm just going to do it the easier way, but you guys see the tabs. So this is the tank in question that is no more, that a lot of people have been talking about. Got some great pictures here from Will Hall Photography. Looks pretty set up for testing and wires all over it and stuff like that. Just some pretty good pics, scaffolding here on the outside and some pipes and stuff. And another one here. So this is the tank we're talking about, kind of the lower section of the vehicle. And this is what happened the next day. And you can see the debris of the tank here with some workers looking at it. Apparently it kind of ruptured during testing. And Rocket Lab did release a statement. So we'll just kind of go over the statement first of all. As the company pushes Neutron to the limits and beyond to qualify its systems and structures for launch, qualification testing of the Stage 1 tank overnight resulted in a rupture during a hydrostatic pressure trial. Testing failures are not uncommon during qualification testing. We intentionally test structures to their limits to validate structural integrity and safety margins to ensure robust requirements for successful launch can be comfortably met. No significant damage to the test structure or facilities. Next Stage 1 tank is already in production. Neutron's development campaign continues while the team assesses today's outcome. Any thoughts on this news, guys? I did make a video about it, so I kind of already shared some of my thoughts.
Yeah, it was a good video. I mean, it's better, I guess, better for it to happen now than on the launch pad or on launch day. It's a little unfortunate, but I can't imagine it being too much of a setback. Like, maybe I think worst case is probably like maybe 2/4 of a setback, and I think that's being kind of harsh. Like we know that they're already building the second and probably the third Neutron tail by now, which I guess would now be the first and second, depending how you're looking at that. I guess numerically, if memory serves, I think that Goldman Sachs conference from early December, I think the expected net cost for Neutron would have been $400 million. Assuming I think it's $20 million extra per quarter that Neutron hasn't taken off. So probably looking at an additional $40 million to that spend. So, rounding up a little bit, we're looking at like 450 million compared to what was originally announced as 200 million. So it's starting to add up quite a bit. But then when you start to like look at how much we'll generate for each Neutron, revenue wise and profit wise, it starts to not be such a big deal. So I'd rather this happen on the ground now than, once Neutron gets flying. One last thing I'll add to that too. It's like, this is just going to be, a few months of a setback, but if it were to have happened while flying, as we can see with Firefly or even Rocket Lab in the past, getting flight approval again after a mishap in the air is night and day different compared to what's happening here. So
the way I interpret the article, it wasn't to me, it doesn't look like it's a catastrophic setback just based off the verbiage. It looks like to me that it either passed what the operated expected pressure was, but it didn't maybe meet the 1.1 of the operated window, right? So like generally when they do these things, they have to be like 1.1 or 1.15 for like engineering safety, right? Because there's always defects that need to account for. So my thought process is maybe it met the operating pressure, but it didn't meet that extra. And so my thought process is either it's like slightly below, so maybe it's at like 95% of expected, or maybe 100% of expected, but it may not have met that 110 or 115. I don't know. This is all speculation, but my hope is that this was the first one, and that they're once they have it all set up, it's either easy, like you stated, to kind of come in with the second one And the data is hopefully not ambiguous and able to be like, oh, it was definitely because of X, Y, or Z that they're able to really get this nailed down. And I don't know, because you need to potentially wait on other things as well. My hope is that this is something that can be turned around hopefully within a month, maybe 2, and it won't take quarters like you're expecting. But they were going to blow this up anyway, just like they did with the stage 2 qualification. So they were going to test it, whether it hit 115, 120, 130%. They were going to blow it up regardless. So they were definitely not planning on using this to fly, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So that's at least where I stand, and very curious to see what SPB has to say at the beginning of February.
Yeah. I have, obviously we all have more questions than answers. A few things I've been wondering is, like one of the commenters mentioned here, people have been saying how freezing cold it is out there. And I know this involves apparently flowing water in the structure. So whether that could have anything to do with it. I've heard some people say that this first stage 1 was actually made by an external company and not Rocket Lab themselves. I haven't seen official confirmation of that anywhere, but I have seen that floated around. So I'd love to know if that's the case or not. And we don't know for sure whether there's even a design issue that needs showing up, or whether a test was performed incorrectly or something happened. So yeah, we don't know for sure how big a deal it is. But this does even look a little different than kind of the stuff we see coming out of Rocket Labs, like New Zealand. Like the fairings looked all uniform in color and black, and this is kind of a little, discolored in section. So it wouldn't shock me if this first test article was maybe made by a third-party company. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's different compared to, like, people are saying, like, you don't think this was supposed to fly. Well, I mean, I think it's different than the Hungry Hippo. Like the Hungry Hippo, you can qualify, I think, without having to blow it up. So I think that you can test the atmospheric strength that's needed and things like that. This actually has a tank component to it, which I think has to be tested to explosion, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think whether or not they blew it up, they would have been like, pushed and strained, and they probably wouldn't have want to flown it after. So it would have been like a qualification article. At least that's my thoughts. So they can print these things pretty fast now with that massive AFP machine they have going. And they did say one's already on the way. So hopefully we're talking, maybe months. But I do think there's some impact, not least of which is because they filed an 8K form here, report of unscheduled material events or corporate event. And, clearly it's not a corporate event. So when some people said to me, this is absolutely nothing, there will be no delay at all, I'm like, well, they did just say a material event happened. So it seems like it's, it is something. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm freaking out by any means. This kind of thing you want to happen on the ground, as we said, and, very much expected during a rocket program. And I have so much confidence that they'll figure this out. Mm-hmm. Okay, so next up, looks like Vince had lined up for us a quick video from Rocket Lab about the Escapade spacecraft. So either of you watched this one?
I think I watched this one. I don't recall.
I don't recall, yeah.
Yeah, you young guys should take profits occasionally. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did take a little bit few weeks ago. Okay, we'll try playing it. We may end up with those audio issues. Let me know whether or not you guys can hear it.
Can't hear anything.
No? Okay, we'll try resharing, as apparently that always fixes it. Yeah. Here? Well,
make sure you click the tab when you hit share.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll try sharing the other way. There's just try one last time.
Turn on an engine, and what that does is expels mass out of the back of the spacecraft and pushes the spacecraft forward. And the net effect of a maneuver is to increase our velocity. And so you often measure a maneuver by the amount of change in velocity that it executes. Now, there are two aspects to changing your velocity. One is that you're changing the amount of the velocity, so the speed you're going at. The other parameter that you change is the direction.
Ideally, we burn hard and head straight for Mars, but we launched out of phase, so the direct path is closed. We have to utilize a Lagrange point to store our energy.
We have launched out of phase, basically almost 1 year opposite from where you should. But the orbiting around these Lagrangian points is a really low energy spot to kind of hang out. It is a point in space that's about 1.5 million kilometers away from Earth.
This isn't downtime. Loitering is a complex operational state. We are millions of kilometers from home in a gravitational balancing act.
We still have course correction maneuvers to go. So we've got 15 of those course corrections to go over the course of the next year as we kind of loiter around this Lagrangian point.
Once we've executed the first trajectory correction maneuver, we'll be looking at a lot of the data generated by the spacecraft. The second trajectory correction maneuver is a longer burn. It's about 200 seconds long. That one puts us on the loiter orbit. For the first 12 months of the mission, the furthest we will go is about 3.3 million kilometers away. So for the first 11 months of the mission, we're in a loiter orbit where we are leaving Earth and progressing towards one of the Lagrange points, which is a stable point in the Earth-Sun system.
We hold this pattern for a year until November 2026. That is when the physics finally line up. The wait ends and the real risk begins.
The planets will be aligned again in November of 2026, and that's when we will execute one of our biggest burns, the Trans-Mars injection, which is going to take us to Mars.
The one definitely that is going to be the most spicy will be the Trans-Mars injection burn. There's a really small window where you have to make that maneuver. So you've got to reorient the beacon in a certain direction. You've got to prime the engine just before that. And you got to hit that window, otherwise you're not going to Mars. That will be the tricky one for sure.
This is the reality of interplanetary operations. It's not just about the launch, it's about the endurance to navigate the void and the precision to hit the target.
But once we make it through the Mars orbit insertion and are in Martian orbit, then we'll have demonstrated that we can do these very complex missions for a third of the time and a 20th of the typical cost.
When a lot of people decide to be these engineers one day, it's because of dreams like this.
A third of the time and a 20th of the cost. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, pretty impressive mission they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they must be making a bit extra from NASA, given the new profile of going to the Lagrange point and hanging out for extended periods of time, I would think.
I think so.
Yeah, I was noticing that, Curtis, the landers, it looked like. Lunar landers, it looked like. Or maybe were they satellites or were they lunar landers? I don't know.
Okay, so just a few. Oh, sorry. Any more thoughts about the Escapade spacecraft?
Wait and see.
Yeah.
Loiter, as they say.
Yeah, we got a bit of a wait ahead of us. Okay, so Hungry Hippo has arrived finally after its long journey. And we had some pretty cool pictures here of it crossing the bridge, going down the road. Maybe you guys remember some of these sites from when we were in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, the first stage section encountered an issue, but we do have Hungry Hippo there ready to go. And I love all the pictures people make replacing it with an actual hippo.
That's fun.
People have too much fun with AI. Okay, so yeah, I find it just pretty exciting seeing all the pieces coming together. And again, Eastern Shore Spaceflight, great account to follow, and we can see it at the facility where we were all there together. Great shots.
Mm-hmm.
Look how big that thing is, man.
Yeah,
compared to the car right next to it.
And it gives you a sense, given that that's the height of the rocket will be much more than just that section. So,
yeah.
Great to see some hardware there. Okay, so speaking about Mars and the fact that Rocket Lab did just send two space, well, I shouldn't say send because I guess Blue Origin was the launcher, but build two spacecraft and they're operating them on their way to Mars. NASA did finally just announce the contract for the Mars Telecommunications Orbiter. So if you remember in the big, beautiful bill, the requirement was that it had to be one of the 8 companies that did an initial study for NASA, a concept study, and Rocket Lab was one of those. So this opportunity will be limited to the 8 companies here, including Rocket Lab, Blue Origin, L3, Lockheed, Northrop, SpaceX, Quantum Space, and Whitting Hill Aerospace. What I found interesting was in the language of the bill, it did say that limited to someone who completed a study, and in that study had a Mars Telecommunications Orbiter. And some of these companies didn't have that within their kind of proposed architecture, but they're still, eligible. So at least as far as I can tell. But I personally, I say Rocket Lab has as good a chance of anyone at winning this competition between limited number of companies. How are you guys feeling about it? What do you think?
I would argue that Rocket Lab has more of a chance just given the Escapade satellites, and sure, they're not there. And I think arguably by the time the decision's even made, they'll probably still be in the Lagrange point. But just that like talking point of saying like, yeah, already got satellites on the way to Mars is just more than I think what most of these companies can on the rest of the bill can say. So yeah.
I do think that there's some legacy aspect of things where, there's the want to eventually go with somebody that's been, historically associated with NASA for quite some time. But I think now you have a head of NASA that is more willing to go with a Rocket Lab, that is more willing to go with SpaceX. So to me, I feel more confident than ever that this would potentially be in Rocket Lab's hands. So I don't know. And I like the approach that Isaacman always talks about as well. Like maybe instead of just one contract, it's multiple contracts, that goes for the same price, because if you have a shotgun approach, one of them or is more likely to succeed than just one. Out of just one of one is less likely to succeed than say 10 different opportunities. So maybe it's more of a shotgun approach than we've seen in the past.
Yeah. Interesting here. I didn't notice this, but space. Yeah. Anyway, this account mentions SpaceX actually has a comma after their name on the list and no one else does. So maybe reading into that, but it's not that often we see Rocket Lab going really head to head with SpaceX for contracts. So this will be interesting. And we did see, a part of that tour with Pete Hegseth, I think his name was, Secretary of Defense or War. He was kind of bashing old school defense primes and space primes. So, that could probably bode well, but then we also do have SpaceX and Blue in here as well. So, they might also have strong bids. And I feel like with stuff like this, the lobbying does get into it in the politics, which always scares me a little bit because, really these things should be judged on like technical and pricing and all that. But I don't think we have a date yet for when this will be decided or announced. But I thought it was pretty exciting nonetheless that it was released that they're going forward with it. And then, so Vince had this tweet lined up from Miss Iglesias that if one test failure is going to make you dead or lose sleep, this isn't the company for you. I think that's pretty fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, we did have a successful launch finally, the first of the year. Cosmos will see now. And always love to watch the liftoffs. And some of us were getting a little worried because Peter usually tweets immediately afterwards, 100% mission success, but he made us wait a little while and everyone's like, oh, what's going on here? But we finally did get that. And they delivered a successful mission. So how do you think the manifest is looking for the remainder of Q1, Scott, or even Matt?
Oh, we're busy.
Yeah,
we've got quite a few. Like I think the case one's probably any day, and then looking past that, we've got like another like maybe as many as 5 or 6 still within Q1. Like some of these might get pushed back, of course, but still really good to see. We got a very, very busy manifest, not just Q1, but like the entire rest of the year. We're looking at like probably 25 to 30 launches, maybe even north of that, especially if they're launching
on the manifest or
already on the manifest.
Yeah. Of course, there's always the the worry that some customer isn't ready and things get pushed. Or
sure. But my pushback against that is the Cosmos will see you now and the haste one, or the cased one, the one that's coming up. Those were both signed in Q3, so it's not like these are like years in the making. Like we could very realistically have, another whole another slew of launches signed in Q1 that could still launch within 2026. So it could get even busier than what we have currently on the manifest. But we're gonna get real busy.
Is the cased one was supposed to be the one that was launched in December or November last year?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with that, but yeah, there was like I think they tried twice, if memory serves, and just kind of pulled back for whatever reason, and
I think we launched 77 or something like that.
Things are definitely looking good for Electron, and with that cadence, they should be hitting a pretty solid margin this year. So excited about that one. I did want to add one other piece of news that I thought was kind of interesting. So Blue Origin is now announcing their own constellation, or mega constellation, if you will, which is interesting because Amazon's already working on their LEO, which used to be called Kuiper, which is a mega constellation. So some people think, well, it's almost like Blue competing with Amazon in some ways, even though those two companies are so closely partnered. But we're talking 5,408 optically interconnected satellites in LEO and MEO, reaching remote, rural, and suburban areas where diverse fiber paths are costly, technically infeasible, or slow to deploy, providing additional route diversity and strengthening overall network resilience. So I think this one's more a little aimed at the corporate side of things. Did you guys see this? Any thoughts on that one?
A little confusing, really. I'm not like cool though, like from a Rocket Lab perspective, because I'm like, okay, well, if Amazon is Rocket Lab's reaction wheel customer, and now the whatever you want to call it, Blue Origin, Amazon Sphere needs reaction wheels for a whole other constellation. I mean, if we assume that that original agreement is going well, which I'm pretty sure it is, maybe this is just Amazon, the Jeff Bezos Sphere double dipping. So I think it's probably a net benefit.
Yeah,
that's confusing to me.
I think it's a net benefit to Rocket Lab for sure. Like anytime there's more, infrastructure build out in space, there's the potential for component sales, reaction wheels, star trackers, obviously solar and all the rest. So I'd say it's a net good. And I didn't really see Rocket Lab as going for, Starlink competitor, although they do seem to be focusing a lot on the optical, which is something that Rocket Lab is also focusing on. So I found that interesting. So I think that is the last piece of news we have for the day. Was there some predictions you guys wanted to update or something?
Oh yeah. Where was that link now? I can bring it up on my screen. I can.
Sure, if you want to share.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's your turn, Dave. Get to put you in the hot seat.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
It'll be fun.
All right, I think I've shared. Cool, that's my screen. All right, so starting at the beginning. Oh, by the way, community, your votes are or what was voted on is now included as well. So I just have it listed as community so you guys can kind of see what ultimately won. I mentioned, I think it was last week's episode, that there was a couple that had to be kind of re-polled, and these are the kind of the final answers. So Mr. Dave, how many launches, including Neutron, do we have in 2026?
Okay, so I think I'm going to go just because there's never quite as much as we expect at the start of the year, and we don't really have guidance yet, but I'm kind of with Miss Iglesias. I was thinking around 26.
26. Okay.
So maybe like 25 electron, 1 neutron.
Okay. I'll just put 26 in total.
Yeah.
Okay. And which month? I feel like this is unfair.
I have a little edge on this one now because
Yeah.
of the recent setback.
Which month of the year does Neutron launch in?
Oh, I'm gonna be again the most bearish and say November.
November. How far does the first Neutron launch go?
Oh, it definitely makes orbit. Oh yeah, I do have maybe I typed one in there. Yeah, so
Wait, how? Okay.
or maybe that was from before my prediction from previous year.
It must have been.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Re-entry, it makes orbit, re-enters okay. Maybe the landing, the soft water landing doesn't go perfectly.
Okay.
And yeah, this is something I've been wondering as well, by the way, commenter JPV. Haven't heard much on the Mynaric acquisition yet, and I'd really love for that to close. So the longer it takes, a little more antsy I get about it, but hoping it closes.
Yeah. Which quarter do we get the MTO contract?
Okay, so it just got released now. By the do you mean Rocket Lab gets the contract, or
Yeah.
So everyone just assumes Rocket Lab gets it?
Yeah.
I'll say Q3. And thank you, Mans on Mars, for the super chat and bold prediction. I think the manifest could potentially support this. We just have to, have the customers being ready.
Mm-hmm. How many Neutron launches will Rocket Lab sell in 2026?
Oh, gosh, that's an interesting one. I haven't even really thought about that. Yeah, that's the thing with some of these predictions. Like, I haven't sat down and looked at sources of data or anything. It's just kind of top of my head. I'm gonna go with Maddie on this one and say 5.
5. Okay. Will there be an acquisition in 2026? And if so, how many?
You know what? I'm gonna say 3.
Wow.
Just to be extra bullish for once. How's that?
Okay. How many interviews will we do with Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice?
Sorry, quick question. Does Mynaric count in 2026 if it closes then?
I think we said no to that.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it as 3. It's okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
We got $1 billion. We got to spend it.
Exactly. They got the cash. They got the stock price. They should want to use it, leverage it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many interviews in 2026?
Oh, everyone says 2. I'm going to go with 1.
Okay. What will Rocket Lab's stock price be at the end of 2026?
I mean, if I knew the answer to this, I
Wouldn't be selling. Yeah.
wouldn't have to do YouTube shows around. At the end of 2020, there's so many factors.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew, you'd just be like,
I'm gonna say $107.88.
I like that answer.
How many haste launches in 2026?
Haste. 6. I'm with Vince.
Does Rocket Lab announce their constellation plans?
Definitely not. No, I don't think so.
You said yes too. Okay, I thought it was just Vince that said yes on that one.
Yeah. And I think, last but not least, will there be a Neutron launch party in 2026?
I mean, there'll be coverage and there'll be people there. I guess are we talking retail investors, or?
I think the way that we kind of agreed on it is like a launch party would be like to the scale of the opening event, like something, whatever, 100, 200 people, I guess.
Maybe not. I mean, there'll be speeches and some big things, but I don't think they'll have as many like members of the public and stuff and people like us there. Because I think they'll have so much uncertainty around scheduling and scrubs and weather and all the rest.
Cool. All right, that is that. Locked in for the year.
Okay. Did you guys take stock of our previous predictions from last year? I have a feeling we were a little off on the share price.
Yeah. by
Maybe
a
just a
long
tad.
shot. Yeah.
Well, I guess we've kind of made record time here. I'm through all the news stories. Does any members of the chat have any questions they want to ask or discussion topics? We'd be happy to talk about it, or any other topics you guys wanted to cover.
One last piece of Rocket Lab news while we see if anybody has questions. There was a Form 4 filed 2 days ago, I think it was.
Oh, I did see there was a Form 4, yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a nothing burgers. John Olson with an automatic sale, and he reduced his share count by negative 4.2%. So just a splash in the bucket.
Yeah. Lunar
If we
Train
continue
Deal
to see-
contract coming up. Have either you following them? I'm wondering, like, it's supposed to be coming anytime now. If Intuitive Machines did land it, that'd be absolutely huge for them. They're one of 3 teams bidding on it, so should be exciting. Hopefully, now that Jared's in, we get some more, fast progress on some of these things.
I was
But
going to
I'd
ask.
say they have a good chance.
Sorry, I was going to ask. Do you just kind of play it by ear? Do you have like a set trigger points and when you guys plan to sell shares?
Rocket Lab?
Yeah.
Kind of play it by ear. It depends on what's happening with the company. I could say, if I say I have a target price of $200, but at that point, like, things are going so much better than I ever imagined, I'm not just gonna, blindly sell. But yeah, I do think it's prudent to take some profit. So I'm trying to not let my bias like influence me too much, or the fact that I run a YouTube channel unduly influence my decisions. Sometimes I worry about that happening. Is that ever a concern for you guys?
To a degree, yeah. Because there's, especially being on Rocket Lab Weekly, like I feel like there's almost like an expectation that it's supposed to be 100% of my portfolio and that I never sell any of it. But yeah, especially like kind of like to what you mentioned, Dave, just feeling a different sense of responsibility becoming a dad. Like I do, I just kind of feel like, you know what, in 20 years, nobody's going to remember if I trimmed at what price or what I did. But if, how do I say this? My wife and daughters will definitely remember if I have the account that I had and then just saw it all kind of crumble down. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like in, what was it, 2020 or 2021, Tesla just like absolutely like slammed down. And it's like, could that happen to Rocket Lab? Maybe. And would I be upset with myself if I just, clutched to every single share? I'd probably like be a little bit ticked off. So I don't really have like a rhythm to answer your question, Matt, in terms of like, is it an exact share price or whatnot? But like, just kind of considering things so far, it's kind of just happened to be every like $20 or $30 that Rocket Lab goes up. I've taken a little bit off. So
yeah. And I don't even tend to think of it as like a lack of confidence in the company so much as just like diversification. And, I've never had as much concentration in a single company as I have had in Rocket Lab due to this run up mostly. But although it was the company I've bought more money into than any other company. So, but yeah, just trying to be a little bit responsible with it. Cause you're right. Like if it did somehow have some kind of collapse, some kind of black swan event, even though I don't think it will happen, I don't believe it will. Like if my account went from what it's at now to, drops 60%, that's gonna be an event that will be on my mind.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? You gotta answer the question now. What's your plan?
Matt's always cool as a cucumber.
Haven't sold a share. Still buying. There will probably be a day where I stop buying. I'm no longer. Before, when I was making money on covered calls, I was always reinvesting that in. I'm no longer doing that. I'm siphoning off and starting to get my get out of jail free card. Well, not really jail. I probably shouldn't say that. Get out of work free card. So building up that moat, but never sold. And it's not because I have a YouTube channel or anything like that. My view is like, if I knew how many shares I had and it actually goes to the 300 billion that I think it could, and I sold, I'm the one that has to answer and look across myself in the mirror, but I don't have the responsibilities you guys do. So it's it's easy for me to be like, let me play Monopoly, because if I lose, let's say $1 million by holding, I'm still going to be okay and in the same kind of wealth bracket as I am. But if it actually does go to 200 to 300 billion in terms of market cap, then that's something where it actually does take me out of my current realm of wealth and puts me into a kind of another bracket of wealth. So to me, it's kind of I'm afforded now the luxury to be okay, yeah, I could lose 7 figures by holding this if it actually doesn't go forward. And Electron's really the only company that really keeps this thing going. But to me, I'm I feel 95% likely that Neutron will be successful. That'll put the company at, I think, what the value of it is today, which is 50 billion. And whether or not it goes from 50 to 250 to 300, really depends on the flatlight and what's going to happen associated with that. And I don't know enough about it yet to be able to be yep, let me get out. Right. And if it comes out, it's a total flop and I don't agree with it and I digest it and I'm 6 months after, I'm yeah, I still don't agree with this plan, then sure, maybe I'll sell it. And like you guys said, you don't know what you don't know. But to me, I feel I would regret waking up in 2035 knowing I had X amount of shares and I sold a portion and I thought that this company was going to go to where I thought it did, and it did go there, if not even beyond. And yeah, I'm just having fun with it. So.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
I generally don't let YouTube dictate. I used to back when I was doing dividend investing and stuff like that. But now I'm good enough about telling people to F off. I'm managing my portfolio, you manage your portfolio, and I'll listen to everybody, right? But only if I think it actually pertains to me. Yeah, I'm going for 8. So.
Nice. I touched on this a little bit last time I was on it, but I guess I'm very kind of conflicted because sometimes I think, if my portfolio goes to 0, I'll still be okay. I have a job and everything and pay the bills. And then sometimes I think okay, let's just say theoretically, whatever, not real dollars, but if I had, say, $2 million, would I risk it for a chance to get $10 million, even if it's 80% chance it's going to be successful? Because to me, 2 million is enough to feel financially secure, have no stress, your family's future. And if you have FU money, if you really hate your job and stuff like that. And then the extra is I don't know what I need that for. So sometimes I think about it that way too. But someone was asking about the Victus Haze mission. I think we're still waiting on Firefly's Alpha to get launching for that, right? Because that's where they had to rendezvous. Is that correct?
Yes. Q2 is what I've last seen. Oh, and that's on. Yeah, so that's according to True Anomaly's site. So True Anomaly are the guys building the spacecraft that's being launched by Firefly, and they're saying Q2 2026. So Rocket Lab will probably be in Q2 as well, if not Q3. I'm not sure how far apart these have to launch, if it's immediate after, or if it's going to be a month or two in between. But yeah, Victus Haze should be done in the next few months, I suppose.
Okay, I was thinking they had to launch fairly close together, but we're not certain on that.
Maybe I'm not too sure. I'm just assuming that Rocket Lab will also be Q2, but
Yeah. Well, they probably at least want to make sure Alpha's up and running properly and they have a successful launch.
yeah. I wonder what's happening with that too, because last I heard for Alpha was late Q4, early Q3, and we're kind of exiting early Q3 at this point, really. Like we're kind of almost halfway through.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they just announced their Block 2. I think they have one more launch of the original one before they go to Block 2 of Alpha. Okay. I guess that's pretty much it for us, unless there's any other questions you guys want to address from the chat.
No, just appreciate you hosting, and it's always a good time.
I see Curtis is there as well. Hey, Curtis, as always, one of the OGs of the Rocket Lab community. Great to see you guys. All right. I think we'll call it a stream then. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you have a great day, great rest of the week. Do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already on all our channels. And we will see you guys next time. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.